Well, good morning, folks. Welcome back to the farm. A little dark here this morning and a little cooler as well. We dropped 10 degrees overnight. It was -4 yesterday morning. It's now -14. That's a real gem. We're going to do a couple hectic days. Not a lot, not really hectic in terms of like a lot of activities, but just some stuff that's going to take some time. So we're going to Banff here in a couple days. The wife decided she wanted to get the kids in for one more skiing lesson over at Nighthawk. So she's going to take the kids skiing today. And before that happens, I got to get truck cleaned out. I parked this thing here last night because although it was -4, it was snowing to beat the band. We got about 3 inches of snow, and I had as you can see, the tonneau cover rolled up. And the tonneau cover is fantastic for doing what? Keeping snow out of the box of the truck. And I got a whole bunch of snow in the truck, so it didn't work out very well. Anyways, we got to pick up a loop load today. So the wife's going to Grand Prairie with her vehicle. She's going to go get an oil change. I'm going to keep the girls. We'll pick up the loop load. Then I'm going to run to Grand Prairie with my vehicle. The wife's going to take the girls. She's going to go to the skiing lesson. And I'm going to go to Valley View to pick up my eldest daughter, who lives there. And she's going to come for late Christmas, I guess. Late Christmas, early New Year's. Haven't had any time to visit with her over the holidays. Got to see her just before the holidays. So it'll be good to have her here for a couple days. And then at the same time, we're also packing up and trying to get everything prepped and ready to leave for Banff for a couple days right at New Year's. So, I mean, fair to say that there's a bit going on here in the next couple days. I do have to do a couple things for canine management here this morning. Last couple nights, our dogs have been just losing their mind. So there'll be coyotes barking off to the south or to the west, just as they do. These guys get going, and then the neighbors' dogs get going, and then these guys forget about the coyotes and they worry about the neighbors' dogs. And so they're running through this fence line behind the shop because the gate, they can get through the gate there, and then they run the fence line back and forth. And a bit of a territorial dispute over who owns the fence. And what would be fantastic is if they didn't even get to the fence. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have to attach something to the bottom of the gate there, so the first two rails they can't get through, because they're not going to jump the fence to get through over there or jump over the gate to get over there. But yeah, I want to solve that problem before we leave, because that's a pretty quick way to come home and not have a dog, is end up with your neighbor having an extra dog. So I got some of this corrugated plastic from the old UFA. When the UFA moved from I think it was 400 First Street in Beaver Lodge to where it's at currently, the fire department bought the land, and so they left their old shop there, just an old pole building shop, which the town later deconstructed and moved over to Public Works. But in there was this corrugated plastic sign that said, "Hey, we've now moved. We're no longer beside the A&W. We've gone over there." So I took that sign and made use of it. And so I got a piece left, and I'm going to see if that just fits perfectly across that gate, and then I can zip tie it on there and keep the dogs where they're supposed to be kept. That looks like it's going to fit just perfectly. But the zip ties I'm going to zip tie it up with are not in the shop. Why would they be in the shop? No, they're in the barn from when I was stringing lights up to the rafters there. But the other thing I got to make is a cover for a water trough. So if you watched the other day, you realize the wife unplugged the water trough heater, because it was getting too warm. That was one that was just on or off, like plugged in or unplugged in kind of thing, and had no thermostat in it. So then when the wife unplugged it, then the dog decided to chew it. So, oh man, we got lots of stuff for water here. That's good. That's what I'm looking for though. I'm looking for this right here. Floating stock tank de-icer, thermostatically controlled, cord protector to deter chewing, for use in metal tanks only. That's a bit of a stretch. We're we're gonna use that one in a plastic tank. But because it's got that big thing on it, I'll see if I can drop like a piece of this racking. I got a couple pieces of that I'll drop on the bottom, haywired on there, so that if the water level runs low, it doesn't melt a hole in the bottom of the plastic trough. Anyways, this is over at the barn. So I'll take this over to the barn, rig it up, and then bring the zip ties back with me so I can zip tie up that gate. Be efficient and effective with my time. All right, so it wasn't an oven rack, but I did get one of these. It was sitting outside, actually. This is the shelf out of a stand-up deep freeze. We had one of those shit the bed earlier this year, and so basically just gonna take and haywire that right on there, and that way that metal element can never physically touch the bottom of the water trough and the sides, right? That's the biggest thing, the sides. It can never touch that either. Therefore, nothing to touch, nothing to catch on fire. And one thing that's really interesting is with our loop loads, we get some of the more obscure products on the grocery store shelves that people don't purchase, and then find interesting ways to get our animals to eat it. And one of those things that showed up last weekend was some oat milk. And so we don't have a dairy cow here. I would have a dairy cow, but time is a limiting factor for us. And you know, if we're not going to be here at certain times of the day and every single day, then you really shouldn't have a dairy cow. So we don't have a dairy cow. But I poured some of that oat milk into a bucket and thinking that the dog would just lick that right up. The dog wouldn't even touch it. So it stayed in the bucket all day long. And I come out after the kids had gone to bed, and that's right when I pulled my truck into the shop there. And it was about -10, and that oat milk still hadn't frozen. It was still liquid in the bottom of the bucket. And I thought, man, that's the healthy option. That's the healthy option that's being touted. That, you know, people, the dog won't even touch it, for crying out loud. And the stuff, it won't even freeze at -10. Like, why would I put that in my body? All right, so there you have it, all haywired on there. It's going to sit in the bottom of the trough like that, prevent any surface contact. I just got to make sure that stays immersed. So the trough right now is about half full, half empty, half full. Depends how you look at it. I'm a half full guy. Really, I'm not. Really, the trough is full, half full of water, half full of air. You make of it what you will. But nevertheless, half full of ice right now, and I need to set that on there, and then I'm going to add a couple pails of water, get that thing immersed, and then it can get, you know, once it warms up, this is just going to go to the bottom. Then I got to add a sheet of plywood to the top to stop, although you can put as much wire loom on this to discourage chewing. Like, I think that's just a ruse. That won't discourage nothing. That'll actually just give them 5 more minutes of chewing, maybe 2 more minutes of chewing. So we're gonna get a piece of plywood on the top and set it up there so he can't get to that cord, other than maybe that last little tiny bit where it comes out of the trough and goes through the fence. And so hopefully that's a narrow enough area that can't get his chompers in there to do anything. What's that? You're looking for the UFA? Oh yeah, no, it's moved. It's that away. I'd say that's a success. That's going to keep the dog from going through there. And if it can jump over that, well, then there's probably bigger problems to deal with. Well, I'm done my water trough. Obviously got the rubber tote, got the heater in there sitting on the freezer rack. Piece of plywood over here with some 2x4s just as guides, so it can't slide off or anything like that. And did put a couple screws just in the edge, stop the dog from lifting it off, and then I pushed it all the way back. So there's just a tiny little bit of the wire sticking out there before it goes through the fence. Hopefully that reduces any shenanigans. That little project done. I think I'm going to call that a day for the video. I gotta head in the house and get some painkillers. I tumbled off the back of a toboggan yesterday getting pulled by the skidoo, and something in my back is somewhere it's not supposed to be. And that's not what a guy needs. So I'm gonna try and get a hot pack, get some Aleve or some Advil or something like that, and a cup of tea, and see what we can do to enjoy the rest of the day. So I hope you're having a fantastic, what day is it today? Sunday? Yeah, hope you're having a fantastic Sunday. And we'll see you tomorrow. No, it's Saturday. Hope you're having a fantastic Saturday. And we'll see you tomorrow.